And we are live. Howdy, folks. Welcome to the show. We're just getting ready to get started here.
I'm just going to crunch in your earballs.
That's what we like to do. We always like to start the show out with eating, because eating while drinking is a very important thing.
Everybody take a BM earlier?
I took mine earlier today.
Okay, good. Legit.
You don't want me to go into that.
No, we do not. All right, and you guys heard this? No.
Nope. We did not.
Heard this?
Yep.
Word. All right, anything before we get started, or are you guys all set?
We doing a story or straight tasting?
Oh yeah. What story do you guys want to do?
You know, it's been kind of a hellish week at work. I didn't even add one.
Only looks like one person added any stories this week.
Who's that? You, Jeff?
Yeah, I wonder who that could be.
What is it?
So Russia is running out of beer because of the World Cup.
Okay, I'm down.
That's good.
That's one. Or Sotheby's is offering an instant wine cellar now, where you can just pay them money and they will fill your wine cellar with great wine.
That sounds fun too.
Wow. I like them both.
Yeah, I mean, they both have. One provides a bit more of a rant option, and one provides what the fuck Russia option.
Do you think Russians care if they run out of beer? They've got vodka.
So, what do you guys want?
Come on, John. Hot fire.
I don't know. Either one could be good. I think we could have fun with both. I mean, we're doing educational stuff. Do we want to juxtapose that with something silly like Russian beer, or do we want to stay semi-serious about a wine cellar?
Yeah, I guess it's do we want to go all beer all the time, or beer and then wine?
Let's do the wine story then. I think that gives some, rather than just listening, it gives our listeners something to think about. Sort of.
Yeah. Oh no.
Let me get prepped for this. Then one of you guys want to write the intro?
Yeah. Instant cellar, you're saying?
Yeah, instant wine cellar.
Okay.
Slash, we got Slash is going to wear a top hat on our show.
Sweet.
Oh, you. Give me a second.
Okay. And the poop button touched. Hey, Jeffrey McKinney, you're welcome.
Phone does not want to stand up.
I needed a snack, man.
Yeah, some salt and vinegar potato chips.
No, some organic white corn tortilla chips, kosher for Passover. They're not kosher for Passover. They're just parv.
So how could a tortilla chip possibly not be kosher or kosher?
If it wasn't killed the right way.
Yeah, man.
If they didn't slit
if you made it while listening to Black Sabbath,
All
you
right.
got to get a Shabbos Goy to do that.
All right, you guys set?
Yeah.
Okay, so opening, intro, what we're drinking, great pop or pop culture reference, discussion, booze news, last call.
Got it.
Sounds good. How many hazies do you have?
2.
I have 2, but I probably will only drink 1.
I have 2. Okay.
Because both of mine are in Crowler. So.
Oh, look at you. Wuss. I guess you're not gonna.
Yes, I'm not gonna what?
I guess some people are more committed to the show than others.
Bam.
Nice.
I was gonna get a 3rd, but I was like, that's just stupid. All right. And we're off.
This is Brian Roth from the This Is Why I'm Drunk blog. You're listening to the We Like Drinking podcast, where you never drink alone.
At the sound of the tone, the official We Like Drinking time will be 5 o'clock. Commence consumption.
Thank you for joining us for the award-winning We Like Drinking podcast, episode 180. In this episode, we'll be discussing Snap, the instant wine cellar, and we're drinking New England / Hazy / Milkshake / Turbid / Juicy IPAs. So crack open your beer, uncork that wine, and let's get drinking!
Hazy.
Yeah, it's never good when you lose your voice like 8 seconds into the show, but I think that I got a little too excited about all the IPA styles we're drinking tonight there.
Oh yeah, man. You got excited about API too? Our school is performing well.
Teacher jokes. Oh, cheers, my podcast drinking friends, and welcome to happy hour number 180, the only award-winning and topical beer and wine educational podcast focusing on the FUN. That's the fun.
Oh, thank you for telling me.
Another teacher joke. We're in for a hootenanny tonight, folks. Here we go. So now, Jeff Solomon, I'll come back. It's been a couple weeks. You've probably been itching to do this. So before we kick the show off, we like to beg, plead, hijack people's phones and do what with them?
Well, when you hijack somebody's phone, the first thing you do is you subscribe them to the We Like Drinking podcast. But, many of you are already doing that. You're listening every single week. While you're listening to us right now, if you have not done so already, scroll down. You're probably listening to us in Apple Podcasts, also known as iTunes. Just scroll down until you see the star rating. Go ahead and click that 5 stars, and let us know how fan-friggin-tabulous we are. Nobody took me up on my offer last week. So if you're still down for a free t-shirt, go listen to episode 179 and you'll figure out what to do.
I didn't check. I didn't check today. Did you check and see if anybody?
Not in iTunes. And if you did it anywhere else, screen grab and send it my way. But
that's to other Jeff at welikedrinking.com.
That's a real email address, everybody. I'm not itching to buy a t-shirt for anybody, but listen closely to the last episode and you might get yourself one.
All right.
Speaking of the last episode.
Yeah.
So how did that poll go, Eccles?
Oh, the one that's currently going on in the tavern?
Yeah.
It's kind of a landslide victory for the hard-boiled egg. People are very pro HBE.
Including the spouse of the other Jeff.
Yes, I was bring that up. But yes.
There you go, Kara. Thanks. Thanks for the love.
Hey, thanks a lot. I will say this. It's not an insignificant amount of us that think hard-boiled eggs are disgusting. It's not like I'm the only person. Like, just in our little tavern, there's at least 20 people that think hard-boiled eggs are disgusting. So,
or four.
Same difference.
All right. So let's get this started. Let's start with Solomon so he can wipe the egg off his face.
Well, he wouldn't wipe it if it was hard boiled. He'd be picking it out of his beard.
Well, if he smashed it around. What you got in your glass tonight, Jeff?
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I want to say before we get to the real stuff, I was pre-gaming with this Peak Organic Brewing Company IPA. This is some garbage right here. And so tonight, as we highlight New England style hazy IPAs, I have 2 cans. I am again emphasizing how stoked I am on all these local microbreweries putting more and more beers into cans with like these removable stickers. Like you just peel this off and slap it on, somebody else's wall later on. Like it's fantastic.
You should wallpaper that empty wall behind you in cans.
Hey, there's a window over there. So, I do have this 12-ounce can from Novo, Brazil. They're out of Chula Vista, California. They have the Pool Party Haze IPA. It's coming in at a modest 5.5% alcohol by volume. The other one that I have that I'm going to be starting off with tonight, and I just love this right here. This is Revision Brewing Company. I believe they're out of West Sacramento. This is Glitter Moon with Tiny Unicorns, New England style hazy double IPA. And this is the most wonderful label of all time. Glitter Moon with Tiny Unicorns.
That one wins just on label alone.
So fantastic.
All right, I'm going next. So I did the same thing as Jeff. I went all local. It's funny, John Ruyak. Do you remember? I want to say it was last year. We were having a bit of a discussion about the New England style, and I think I may have been the one that asked. I'm like, is this going to be a thing? Like, is the New England style going to be something that we start seeing a lot more of? And John Ruyak was like, damn, I hope not. But I was surprised. Like, I put it out into another Facebook group of craft beer folks here in Colorado Springs, and it was like 54 comments later. I'm like, hey, who's making good hazy IPAs in town? Like 54 comments later, I'm like, I got a lot of driving to go do. So thank you everybody in the Colorado Springs craft beer group that got back to me on that. I wasn't able to get to all the breweries, but I did come home with the Goat Patch Brewing Hazy IPA and the Cerberus. This is the Disarray Milkshake IPA with peaches. So these are both in crowler format. So I don't think I'm going to get to both of them tonight, but we'll see. So John,
live dangerously.
Yeah, live like John Ruyak.
You know, my dad used to like for our dogs, for like wet dog food, like there were those little like lids you can put back over it, the plastic lids. You just got to get one of those. Just get like a dog food lid, put it on the top of your crowler, fresh as the day is long.
All right, fuck it.
Which is about 12 hours.
I'll drink them both. All right, John, what's in your glass?
So I went to Total Wines today in order to hopefully pick up some La Cumbra Sunday Hazy IPA, and they sold out. Ooh. I did not have time to get down to the brewery itself, which is another 5 or 6 blocks, because I had to get home. So I went with some big boys. I got New Belgium's Juicy Haze IPA, so that like hits two slashes, right? There was Juicy and Hazy.
That's the Juicy Voodoo Ranger?
Yeah, Juicy Voodoo Ranger. And then I have as backup, did I have this on the show before? Maybe not. I've got Sierra Nevada's Hazy Little Thing IPA.
I don't think you've had that one before. I don't recognize.
You know
I've had it before, but not on the show.
What's nice about those is I've had those both, and I think you can find those anywhere in the country. Like where a lot of times we talk about like hyper local, like those are two beautiful craft beers, hazy, that are really easy to find. And if you're not in a shitty state like Colorado, you can even buy it at a grocery store.
Woohoo!
As a short aside, I was scrolling through some beer stories, and there was something about craft lagers. And I was reading about craft lagers, and this brewer was saying, and this goes to one of the ones you picked out, Solomon. And he goes, what's so weird about craft lagers now that we've gone full stupid on glitter in beer? It's about time we got doing something right. So, yeah.
God, we need to make that. We need to make glitter beer happen on one of our episodes.
Oh my God, no. And little tiny baby unicorn poop in my beer. No, thanks.
Did you just say, yeah, no, John?
Yeah, no. Was that a triple affirmative, double negative? I don't know.
All right. Excellent. I'm excited to get into these and excited to learn more about the hazed IPA craze. But before we get learning about some brews, let's get learning about something else with grape hop or pop culture reference. So this is where I give these guys a term and they try to tell me if it's a wine grape, a beer hop, or some kind of pop culture reference. The term this week, it's an easy one, but I got to do it. The term this week is Vuvuzela. So is Vuvuzela a wine grape, a beer hop, or a pop culture reference? I think we're on the John to kick it off.
Okay, first you need to pronounce it properly, and I believe it's in A flat.
Okay.
If we're going by World Cup from South Africa 6 years ago, it's Vuvuzela. It's a pop culture reference.
That's a Vuvuzela, man.
All right, excellent. All three of us pronounced it a different way.
Would you spell it Vuvuzela?
Is that like a really old dude in the Bible?
Yeah. I think that's a really large bottle of wine, a Vuvuzela. It goes Nebuchadnezzar, Vuvuzela. Hey, I was thinking about World Cup. Do the White Stripes like just cash checks like during every game when everybody starts chanting, oh, oh man, it's beautiful.
Did you see that sick goal by Portugal to tie it at 3? He bent the penalty kick around the wall and put it top shelf for Mama hides the cookies.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very cool. Yeah,
he bent it like Beckham.
Oh, yeah, Dave Beckham would have been proud.
Instead, he was at home in his underpants, looking very sexy.
Get in that topic. Okay, so let's do this. I'm gonna crack open. I think I'm gonna go with I'll just go with the Goat Patch Hazy, just the straight hazy crowler here.
Glitter moon with tiny unicorns.
Woo! That's got some stank to it.
Does it have some stank?
Not bad stank. It's just very aromatic.
Okay, it should be resinously aromatic.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's favorite game. Is it a hazy IPA or a mimosa?
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah.
Okay, so John.
Yes.
What would you like to take us out here, brother?
Okay, so there's some. So the BJCP Brew Judge Certification Panel approved hazy IPAs as a beer style. Was it back in February, I think, for this year?
Yes.
Because we had talked about it, I think, in November or December or something like that.
Yep.
And I was reading some articles, and there's some. This is a couple years ago when New England IPAs started to be. People were talking about them starting maybe about 3 years ago, and they asked one brewer, and I don't know if it was at Treehouse or somebody else, but it's a pretty well-known brewer in Massachusetts, and Treehouse is pretty famous for you folks that aren't living east of the Mississippi. Anyway, the brewer's like, why are we calling this a different style? It's just, it's the same ingredients as an IPA. It's just delivered a little differently. So I kind of, here's a brewer at a pretty well-known place saying, who are we to say we should have our own style on this? We don't make that call. And really, it's just, it's the same ingredients. We just kind of process it a little differently. So, but I think in the end, because the process is so different, it is a different style. I'm not sure it should be called an IPA, though. IPAs, they're bitter. I mean, they have this big, bitter backbone. And a hazy IPA, because that's what the term is, has got very little bitterness. You taste hops, but there is no hop bitterness, but very subdued. You have to have some to preserve the beer. Isomerized alpha acids help preserve beer. But what they do is they the hopping schedule is very different. So some will not do a bittering charge at all, or maybe very limited to, preservative. Beer stability IBUs starts at around five or six. So, that's a low threshold of where Budweiser is, right? 8 IBUs. Okay. So, but they'll just do enough of that, and then all the other flavors cover up that bitterness. You barely get it. But what they do is they hop burst. They throw a boatload of hops very near the end of the boil, at the end of the boil, and then they dry hop the shit out of it. So what happens is you get this, all those hop resins have a hard time dissolving in the beer. There's only so much stuff you can put into solution. Water will only carry so many things. And what happens is you get this semi-colloidal suspension of hop stuff, yeast and grains floating around in this. This is a very good one, by the way. The end game is here. You want all of the other cool flavors that you get out of hops without boiling them away and them going away in the steam that happens when you put hops in early in the boil, and you capture that and it stays in the beer. And then dry hopping obviously is for aroma and some flavor characteristics. The other thing is, they say we don't these beers aren't filtered.
Right.
Well, sorry, folks. A lot of craft brewers don't filter their beer, and it comes out perfectly clear. And that's because you age it properly, you use proper brewing techniques, proper sanitation techniques, most importantly, so that your beer drops clear. Very few small craft breweries filter their beer. It's too expensive, and it strips flavor out. Now, for bottling, in a lot of cases, you have to filter it in order to increase shelf life on the beer. So that's, and you don't want any stray yeast getting in there and have it keep fermenting, and then maybe you open it up and it would fizz out the top. Yeah. And that could happen with an unfiltered beer. So there's a couple different, there's some discussion about whether they're supposed to be called New England IPAs or they originated in Vermont. So some people call them Vermont IPAs. And there's hazy IPAs we talked about, milkshake IPAs, New England IPAs, turbids. Milkshake IPAs have lactose added to them. And a lot of times you're going to add a fruit. So I had somebody in Costa Rica from Virginia bring me a strawberry milkshake IPA. I didn't care for it. I didn't like it. It's not that it wasn't a well-made product. I just didn't like it. So I was kind of hoping you'd open up that peach one there, Eccles. But
we'll get to it.
We'll get to it. All right. So a milkshake IPA is different, and then there's another ingredient added, and that's lactose. Gives it a kind of a creamier feel, and then also a little bit of a sharp sourness that you can get out of that when you got that the fermentation of the lactose in there. The straight New England IPAs or the hazy you're talking about. Now, then there's this other thing called turbid. Mm-hmm. When I go herping and I'm out in the middle of the desert or the high grasslands and there's cows and there's like little ponds that cows drink out of and they slop around in the mud, they make the water turbid. It looks like hell. And so does a turbid IPA. It looks like very watered down porridge. I don't know why you would want to drink. I know Hefeweizen's one thing, but if you have little bits that like get strained through your teeth and you have to pick them out with a toothpick, to me that's not beer. I would stay away from a turbid. A lot of times I've used the word chunky to describe a beer, and that's because the mouth feels meaty, but not because there's gobs of gunk in it. Turbid IPAs have gobs. I'm not into drinking gobs. I want to retch back up a gob when I swallow it.
The next time you come up to the Springs, we're going to Trinity and we're getting that hype forager turbid because it is amazing.
Well, what Jason's a phenomenal brewer, and I've talked to him on numerous occasions when I lived up there. But man, that's going to be like eating escargot. I'm not sure.
It's okay. So, and I purposely come into these. Well, I purposely come into every episode pretty dumb, but
it works for you.
I try to get that way by the end of the episode.
Is the milkshake and the turbid, are those not also hazy IPAs? Are they?
Oh, yes, you can say that. Yeah, it's kind of a subcategory type of deal. It's kind of like a slice off of that category that's not really described as one just yet.
Okay. So there's not a milkshake IPA BJCP.
No.
Okay.
So, speaking of the BJCP, which, I was trying to look, I think it might even go back to 2017 when they were defining it. But also this year in 2018, the Brewers Association in their style guidelines, they didn't add it as New England IPA. They called them juicy or hazy IPAs. And there was a note in there that really stuck to me. It said that it may contain a small amount of oat or wheat or other adjuncts to promote haziness. And then I get into some conversations. I don't remember which website I was on at this point. Probably Beer Advocate. People having these conversations, trying to put together a definitive list. And I know that you've said this before, and I've talked to other people about this, that there are some breweries that just straight up add flour to get their haziness. I was able to confirm that Tired Hands does this. Trillium does this. Arizona Wilderness does this. There was a collaboration between Interborough and Threes out of Brooklyn that had done this. Is this something that's prevalent? Because I found myself in conversations with people about hazies where I say, well, some folks just straight up add flour to get it hazy. And the person that was very into hazies all of a sudden stops and goes, oh, I don't like that.
Good.
So, I mean, is that a common thing?
I don't know how common it is, and I mean, if Trillium's doing it, and I've never had a Trillium beer, but I hear only good things about them. I don't know, but I don't know how prevalent that is. It's to make, a Hefeweizen is very cloudy, and what you see yeast floating around in a really fresh Hefeweizen, but the cloudiness is from unprecipitated proteins. And Hefeweizen has a kind of a sweet taste that comes from wheat without it being tacky sweet. It's a sweet perception type of deal. And we use some wheat in our beers at Lizard Tail. And even in the double IPA that I brewed today was, what was it? 12 pounds and 200. So 6%. It was 6%. And that was only to promote some sweetness. When the beer is finished, it's absolutely clear. For wheat to impart kind of a hazy thing, it needs to be somewhere north of 15% of the grain bill. But then you get different fermentable profiles out of that. It tastes like wheat. Everybody's had like an American wheat beer or a Belgian wit. And those are a little bit higher in the grain bill of the wheat, but you know that you're tasting wheat as opposed to just barley, right?
Right.
So in order for it to be that hazy in a wheat beer type of situation, you have to have a pretty high component, but then you would taste it too. Oats, yes. The other thing you can do to make it kind of hazy is you can beat the shit out of the mash and glutenize. What's the term? But you just beat the mash to a pulp mechanically, and it starts to break up the starches into insoluble starches, so that can stay in suspension. So you can do that too. one of the things that I like about this Voodoo Ranger Juicy Haze IPA is that it's holding its head. Some other New England style IPAs will not hold a head. I would say that's pretty fair, Eccles. But if it doesn't hold a head, that means that they maybe stopped fermentation short and left some sugar in it. A high unfermented fermentables tend to reduce head retention. How's that?
Interesting.
So there's that. To me, you get some off flavors when you don't do that too. If you cut it short, then the beer's not finishing and the yeast isn't doing everything that it wants to do.
It's funny.
So
it's funny, Jeff, you mentioned that. Like when I was going around tasting hazies, there was one that I tasted that it was my least favorite of the bunch, and the look of it was really, really odd. Like it looked thick, but it wasn't like it was juicy. It wasn't like there was pulp in it, or there wasn't like there was a bunch of floaters in it. It just looked like thick. And the brewer wasn't there because I was like, I could just see him in the back with some cornstarch just mixing it and dumping it in there.
If you put enough cornstarch in it, you could punch it and hurt your hand, right?
Well, but I'm just wondering, like, if they also make wood-fired pizzas there, like, through osmosis.
Great, John. So, like, what kind of IBU should we be looking at out of a hazy IPA?
There is some IBU transformation in late editions while the beer is still hot, but not particularly boiling. Utilization, depending on your elevation, can anywhere from 2 to 5%, depending on how long. A real true New England IPA, I think, might run, even though it tastes really hoppy, it doesn't have IBUs. It might be 15 or 20.
Oh, okay. See, like I'm looking at the one I'm drinking here is 44.
That's calculated.
Okay.
That's not actual.
Okay.
Well, my calculated IBUs on the Glitter Moon with Tiny Unicorns is also at 40.
So, Jeff, any other questions on these for John before we start drinking?
Yeah. You're not recommending people run into like a hot mash and start beating it with their fists.
No.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun.
Because that'd be pretty awesome. Yeah, it'd be the new Rocky, like the modern Rocky. Like,
I think the term is glucanization.
Yeah.
Do you guys make
beta glucans get beaten out of?
Do you make hazy, John?
No. We make unclear beers, but they're not intentionally hazy. We make some Belgian wits. We make an American wheat beer. So yeah, we make some intentionally hazy beers, but not a hazy IPA per se.
And we should note the godfather of haziness from Miller Coors, Blue Moon.
Blue Moon. That's a Belgian wit.
And they add junks to it.
They add junks.
They put their junks in.
Do they? Oh my goodness,
that's cloudy.
Oh man.
So, since it's so relatively new, is there a kind of an inventor of the hazy IPA?
An inventor?
Yeah, like
I'm sorry, I'm not very good at beer history in that regard. I don't know. They say it originated in Vermont, so that's as good as I can.
Yep,
I can say
the Alchemist.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
I believe that is correct.
Okay.
The one thing about these things though is you want to drink them soon.
Oh yeah, that was going to be a question I asked.
Oh, cool. So yeah, you want to drink these soon so that none of that juicy fruity flavorness settles out of the beer or just ages itself away. beer is not with the exception of Russian Imperial stouts or barley wines or some old ales. You don't want to save a beer for a long time. You want to drink it soon. And really with hazies, any kind of hazy beer, you want to drink it fairly quickly because eventually it will settle out and some of those really cool flavors will dissipate.
With the Hype Forger, I've had this on the show and talked about the label, but they actually label it with the label upside down on the can, and it has instructions to store it upside down when you have it in the refrigerator, so that you kind of have to agitate it a little bit when you go to open it up. Now, is that something you'd recommend with any hazy IPA, or is that more of like the extra chunky, extra crispy KFC turbids?
No, I do that. I would do that with all of them. You might just gently, if it's a bottle, you can't really store it upside down, but you just might give it a gentle turn, maybe once or twice without agitating the beer, but maybe just mixing it. But again, I wouldn't recommend keeping it long enough that would actually happen.
Like beyond what, a week? A month?
A month.
A month. Okay.
Yeah. Now, sometimes you can get some Hefeweizens from, and this is not what we're talking about, but Hefeweizen's a cloudy beer. You get them from Germany, and I think they actually tell you to move the bottle around a little bit because in transport the gunk settles out.
Yeah, you basically get a layer of unicorn detritus on the bottom of the bottle. By the way, if you're not watching our videos, you should. Even if you're not watching live, sometime this week, go to welikedrinking.com/show just to see John look like he's almost about to wing this bottle of Juicy Ranger out of his window. Like the way that you swung that, John, was so awesome. Like I was hoping for an accident.
Oh,
excellent. All right, John, anything we missed that you wanted to touch on?
Yeah, we've missed tasting these buggers.
Yeah.
Although I will say I've done more than taste mine. I don't have a whole lot left.
Yeah,
I do have another one.
I don't know, like listeners, if you listened to the show last week, you may remember a point where I was like, did you just finish your first beer, John? And I think we were 7 minutes into the show. Jeffrey McKinney, who checks out the show every week on YouTube, even tweeted about that. He's like, so Jeff Eccles takes a sip, John Rudiak almost finishes his glass.
Hey, can I say this? If you ever want to feel like somebody's trying to lap you, go wine tasting with Brad from Swankville. That's right, Brad. I'm calling you out. You taste wine too fast.
Or run a beer mile with Jeff Solomon.
Wait, what are you trying to say?
I don't know.
Motherfucker.
All right, so let's do these things. Jeff Solomon, do you want to start us out?
Yeah. So this is the.
Oh, I will say, if we're going to try to get through two each, let's keep these quick, Jeff Solomon. I'm looking right at you.
You can't help but look at me. I'm the one talking on this hangout. All right. So again, this is the Revision Brewing Company out of West Sac, California. This is the Glitter Moon with Tiny Unicorns Northeast style hazy double IPA.
So Jeff, before we get into that, please get a good picture of that can, because that is going to be our logo for this week.
I can peel the sticker and lay it out for you too. I'll give you some stuff, right? So I was saying earlier, again, my favorite game is Mimosa or a Hazy IPA, and this thing is just super dark and cloudy, not as bright as yours, Jeff Eccles. But it's hazy, as they say. Nice head retention there as well. The nose is super tropical, pineapple, mango for show. And on the palate, those bittering hops are there. I'm not going to put it in the Budweiser category. I will say that fruit wise, it's a little bit more lemon lime pith on the palate. And yeah, just orange juicy. These are, wow, that was loud. These are not your piney dank IPAs. These are just like juicy fruit forward. Essentially, like these are IPAs for kids, is what I'm trying to say. Like this
they just turned 21.
Oh man, no, but I'll tell you what, as an almost 40-year-old, I can really enjoy this and respect this too, because I don't drink juice. This is about as close as I get. And again, I love the label here. And by the way, they are certified independent on the back label. And I love seeing those. You see those more and more every day. I remember when we were talking about that. But yeah, beautiful beer. I love this.
Excellent.
I love this. It's just fucking juicy, man.
I like it. I like it. John Ruyak, it looks like we won't get tasting notes on your first beer because it's gone.
Gone. What I remember of my Juicy Haze IPA is it was very close to Solomon's in that it was, pineapple, mango all the way on the aroma. And mine was not lemon pith, but more lemon. It didn't have that astringency that you get from a lemon pith type of flavor or a citrus pith type of flavor, but that one was more lemony. So and I've had this Voodoo Ranger Juicy Haze before, and I enjoyed it. So I had a hard time just yapping away with you guys and not drinking it. So I opened up this Sierra Nevada hazy little thing IPA, and neither one of these have little upside down beer bottles that say certified independent, by the way, because they're too big. Well, Sierra Nevada anyway. But this one, the aroma on is more orange. It got a lot more orange aroma out of the Sierra Nevada hazy IPA. And the on the taste. So there must be a little more IBUs in this because there's a little bit of bittering hop dank to this. So the bitterness is not all that apparent. It cleans up a little bit on the palate, but it's not cattiness, just kind of dank. Could be Columbus, could be Chinook, as far as the hops go. So there's a little bit more IBU backbone in this one, but it's just still the fruit flavors. More mango in this one. I don't get the pineapple notes like I did in the Voodoo Ranger, but the orange minor component on the taste, but big on the aroma.
Wow.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, just because the two that you're drinking, John, are so prevalent, and I know that I've had both of those, but I feel like I want to go back and compare that, because too often I'm drinking beer and not tasting it,
Right.
And I was just thinking about our friend Jason Stubblefield, who recently did a video that included the hazy little thing on there. It might have been a Supper with Stubb episode, so I'm just wondering what his notes are for that one. But sorry, Jeff, didn't mean to interrupt your flow. It's episode 180, so maybe I'm flipping the script
A little bit.
If we flip the script, is someone going to say testicles whale smoked?
How do you reverse a record scratch?
Yeah, no. There you go. There you have it.
That was wonderful.
Okay, so this is the Goat Patch Brewing Hazy IPA. This is always on tap at Goat Patch as well. This is not a seasonal or anything like that. But on the nose, some of the same things. A heavy dose of tangerine. A lot of citrus notes really coming through. But there's a touch of the dank. Do you like that, Jeff Solomon?
I know Wen is having a blast right now watching the video. This is insane.
There's a bit of dank when I get when I take a big sniff of this one on the palate. You know, some of the same things you guys mentioned. There's a decent bitterness to it, but it's not like a typical IPA that's like really bittery. It's a clean, you know, I'm surprised how clean it is, how refreshing it is. But I really do like it. It's a really tasty little IPA, little hazy IPA. Well done, Goat Patch.
I like it better when you knock your glasses off your nose.
You like it? Do you like that better? Okay.
That was intense, man. I feel bad for nerds that wear glasses. Like, your life's hard enough, and you go drink a beer and you break your glasses. Somebody's got a good vision playing over here. Hey, can I talk about this pool party haze from Novo, Brazil?
Let's get it into it.
Yeah, so this is rolling in at 5.5%. That last one, the glitter unicorns is that glitter moon with tiny unicorns is a double hazy IPA. So the pool party haze single IPA, it looks a lot hazier on my camera than it does in real life. It's a lot more like a bright yellow with definitely some haze. It's not a clear beer. Nice head on that. And on the news, kind of tight. It's weird. I don't know how many beers I've had with like a tight nose on that. Like, it's a little yeasty. It's a little frat party stale beer carpety. I know this sounds weird. There's like a little, like, you know, those the round mints that come in the clear plastic with the twist on either side.
Yeah.
It's like I'm smelling an unwrapped mint. Unwrapped mint.
Okay.
All right. And on the palate, more like that orange citrus on the palate there. It's a little, wow. There's a little like Y's in there. Like it's a little like weedy. Like I'm wondering if you know, I'm wondering, maybe I'm paranoid. I'm wondering if this is one of these like wheat infused IPAs right here, because it is a little weedy on the palate, which is weird.
But you would take there's a difference between the taste of ground flour as opposed to a wheat as a malted wheat as an ingredient.
I don't know. I feel like I'm turning into a flour truther. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I intentionally did the Glitter Moon first because that was one that I definitely wanted to drink on air. And I think it's possible that because I went from a double to a very reserved, almost, let's just call it a session haze, I feel like my palate might be a little bit shot here and that I'm not really getting the full flavors from this pool party haze. Again, it's just like a tight yeasty nose and a little bit of orange citrus and like a little bit of like wheat. And so I'm wondering if I'm not giving it its full respect. I'm just going to keep drinking that pool party haze until I taste something else.
Hopefully it's not chlorine.
Yeah, right. All right. So my next one, because John, you're done with yours, right?
No, I still have 2/3 of it left.
Oh, you're done with your tasting notes.
You got nothing else to say, John.
I've got plenty to say.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with this Cerberus. This is the Disarray Milkshake IPA with peaches, coming in at 5.8 ABV. So can you guys see this?
Oh my God.
It's turbid.
Like it is thick to the yick.
Can I just say, and I'm never going to be able to sing this on air, like even though we curse sometimes, I could never sing on air any lyrics from, there's this great electronic band called Peaches. But go listen to the Teaches of Peaches and just have your mind blown.
So this is, I mean, there's no, I mean, it looks like the glass is not even glass. Like there's no, you can't see anything into this liquid at all.
That looks like it's some day old yogurt, man.
So, and John, as you were saying, this has lactose added to it, right?
Yeah.
So the nose is pretty funky. I was expecting like a ton of peaches. There might be some peach pit to it, but there's not a whole lot of like fresh peaches or anything like that. I'm just gonna hold my glasses up here when I go into it.
What else is in the Teaches of Peaches?
And there's a, I don't know if it's a lactose, but there's like this creamy kind of aroma.
Yeah.
Well, and then on the palate, and you called it, John, like definitely so much more weight to this one. I mean, it's milkshake is a very good term for it because it's like a milkshake that's kind of starting to melt down a little bit, but it's still got some of the cream, the ice in it. Very thick, very smooth. Not a whole big IPA presence to it that you'd expect. Very creamy, very smooth. A lot of malt kind of, even though it's not like, I won't say it's a malt flavor, but it's like that malt kind of feel to it.
Like chocolate malt over here.
Yeah.
Like if you had, what are the if you mashed up a bunch of malted balls and
nothing. It's not like an egg yolk that's been mushed up, man. And definitely some citrus kind of flavors to it as well. So really, really nice. Definitely wanted to drink this one after the original Hazy IPA just because of the thickness.
Wow.
All right. All right. Excellent. Anything else to add to the Haze IPA?
I think it's, I don't know. I don't want to say it's a fad, but I don't see this thing taking over regular IPAs.
You know what I'm looking forward to? The milkshake IPA based cocktails. Like I'd love to see, like, just Jeff, as you were explaining that, I was thinking about how when I used to work at a juice shop in downtown Santa Cruz, shout out to Juice World, rest in peace. But I was just thinking like a strawberry and peach based smoothie, like after you rip that through the blender, stir in like your milkshake IPA, Jeff, and maybe add like 2 ounces of gin, and you got something, man.
I like it. You got a hangover, but
I'm not drinking gin. I don't want to sell my clothes. I'm not drinking gin.
Hashtag a short history of drunkenness. So John, interesting thought. You see it more as a fad. Where do you see this compared to like the sour? Like the sour beers are do you kind of see?
Let me say that. Maybe I shouldn't say this is a fad. I think it's going to carve out a niche. I think it's going to peak and then it's going to fall back into a niche.
Okay.
I think sours have carved out a niche.
Yeah.
I mean, they got really big, but now, in the end, people go to breweries to drink and be social, and they want to have more than one.
Yeah.
We have a 3-beer limit at Lizard Tail. Most places have a 3-beer limit. We'd like you to drink responsibly 3 beers, or, if you're a small female, 2. But, some of these beers sours in particular, don't generate a want to have more than one. Your palate just can't take it.
Yeah.
However, I think there's a sessionability here in New England IPAs. But in the end, people are going to gravitate back towards something that tastes like their mental image of a beer.
Okay, I see what I see what you're saying there. But
so let me ask you this then. Is there a frame shift in what our mental image of a beer is today as opposed to 10 years ago?
Well, sure there is. Yeah, there's a mental shift. I'm not sure that this is a mental shift curve breaker.
okay.
So what is? I think we're all accustomed to now. We expect that we're going to have a 7% IPA when we sit down to drink a beer.
Yeah, pretty much. But I think what will change the frame is craft lagers and craft pilsners. That's gonna if people can reasonably price those and produce good beers and make a profit at it, you will see many more people coming into the craft beer arena as consumers with craft lager,
Excellent.
craft pilsner.
All right.
But see, this stuff's here to stay. I don't. It's gonna peak and then fall off and fall into a niche.
All right, folks. You asked for it. Like normally we'd say, thanks for joining us. But we ain't doing it today because it's time for Who's News. We discuss interesting, noteworthy, or sometimes some pretty stupid stuff. We'll see where this one goes. So I saw this today and I got really mad. And so I want to get your guys' take on it. But apparently Sotheby's now offers an instant wine cellar. Now it's not like Sea Monkeys. You don't add some water and the next thing you know, you have a wine cellar.
I got Sea Monkeys when I was a kid.
But so you can go to Sotheby's and you can order up a wine cellar for yourself. They have 4 different options that they offer. They've got the introductory, which is 50 bottles for $5,000. And these are all, these are all handpicked by experts. If you're in New York City or Hong Kong, they'll be available for 24 hours. They have a concierge service. There's an intermediate buy-in that you can get. 72 bottles, $10,000. There's their top flight tier, 168 bottles, $25,000 for this. And then there's an investment option as well, 90 bottles, yet again, $25,000. That's just for the US. There's another one in the UK, in Hong Kong. I didn't really go into that one, but you get the general gist of it. Buy yourself a fully stocked wine cellar, and as a part of it, you get 2 bottles of each bottle type of wine that you get in this. So that's about it from the article. I'm gonna start with John because Jeff is foaming at the mouth as I am. John,
Yeah.
what do you think about this?
Well, a couple things. First thing is, isn't Sotheby's in a real estate business? Couldn't you like just add this to your mortgage?
I hope so, because I would have to figure out a second one to be able to do any of this.
Yeah, just add that $25,000 package to my mortgage, and I'll just pay for those wines over the next 30 years.
Right.
At a low 4.75% APR.
That's not a bad deal. that a deck.
And you can write it off, right?
There you go.
And you know what? That might not be a bad marketing thing for them because Sotheby's usually works in most cases, upper echelon.
You think?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes they're in commercial real estate too, so you'll see some stuff around town that's in the commercial stuff. But if it's on a residence, it's usually 500,000 and above, right? So maybe some people will be interested in that. Maybe some people that are moving into that new strata of their careers don't have time to pick their own wines, and this would be a great service for them. And then they could sell their wine concierge service to them for I don't know, $500 a month, and you get 6 bottles. I don't know.
Not at those
on the other
prices.
hand, well,
Not
on the
6.
other hand, for $500 a month, 6 bottles, that's pretty close to what their original price was for everything else.
They're- they-
I think
$100
everything
a pop.
priced out at like their cheapest was $100 a bottle was what I saw.
It's
Really?
a 5,000 category. You're looking at like $100, $115 a bottle.
Yeah, so that's what. So what is that? I mean, that's vintage French stuff, right?
Depends.
Yeah, it depends on where you're looking at. They did have there's some Napa stuff, some Napa Ulysses 2013, some Dom Ruinart, Blanc de Blanc 2004. You're probably looking at some stuff with some age. It's what they've got available too. Because it's going to be different for everybody. It's not like you're just getting we need 8 more of these. It's going to be
Sure. It's what's left. I get it. I do have one other point though. For us, it's not something we would want because us three, and hopefully most of the people who listen to our show, enjoy learning about these things and wanting to educate ourselves to do that. And we have the time to do that. So, but, and this is going to sound a little bit weird, but people that can afford something like that, they're more interested in spending their time making the money to afford it and don't have the time to educate themselves and pick these things for themselves. So that's where I see this. That's the demographic I see that fitting in.
Okay. I feel you. Jeff Solomon.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is cost prohibitive. I want to say, like, I'm not going to say this very often. Kudos to John. You found a way where I might invest in something like that. Like if I was buying a house through Sotheby's and I said, hey, can we just tack on like $5,000 for, these 50 premium bottles real quick? Like, I might do something like that because, what's an extra $5,000 on your mortgage?
Right.
But, well, it's a lot actually, but over 30 years, it's quite a bit. But I don't know. What am I don't I would rather, I marked out that, these wines were ranging from $100 to $300 a bottle. I would rather with that money, get a whole bunch of like killer, like, $20 to $30 bottles of wine from like these really like just different types of regions. But I also understand where, if you want the creme de la creme from these really nice regions, and if you can get like, Sotheby's does quite a bit in the wine game and in terms of like,
auctions and
auctioning off like people's wine cellars and stuff like that. So provenance is legit, and if you're looking to just fill your cellar fast and then play that slow game from there, like it might be worth it to you. Like I gotta be honest, sometimes I look at folks with these like awesome amazing cellars and I'm like, why are you wasting your time? Like, you're not even going to drink most of those things. Like, every once in a while I go back to the Howard Stern show because, many of I'm a big Howard Stern fan. And Robin Quivers, who does the news on Howard Stern, is a huge wine collector. And at the same time, she will tell you that she never gets drunk and she would never be able to drink all the bottles of wine that she owns, right? And I guess my feeling is like, then why are you even bothering?
Right.
And so that's kind of like my take on it. But I don't know, if you got the cash to burn and you want to compile a legit seller quickly, and I think it's a good way to go. I'm not gonna knock you, Richie Richardsons, for spending all that dough.
Yeah, again, I feel what you're saying. There's just, I don't know. I mean, if you're gonna have a seller, if you're looking at it as kind of like, oh, I have people that come over that enjoy wine. So yeah, this is an easy way for me to take care of it. Or, I mean, maybe that, yeah, you're rolling the dough is that you're like, it's like a wine of the month club kind of thing. I'll just buy it now and then just go grab it whenever I want. But and maybe this is a bit of, and I hate it when people do this, and now I'm going to do it. But part of the romance or the love affair with wine, part of that, if you have a collection, there's a collection of anything, not just wine. If you have an art collection, if you have a stamp collection, if you have a Star Wars action figure collection, there's
man, is that the Boba Fett with the rocket launcher?
Boba Fett with the rocket launcher, you know it.
That's not the real one. That's post.
That's the McDonald's Happy Meal toy.
This is the one that you could only get through the UPCs, and not the.
That's worth $1 million.
Well, it's been open, so it's not. But been played with relentlessly when I was a child. But there's a piece to it that's the story. There's a piece to it that's like, this was my favorite Boba Fett when I was growing up, and that's why it still sits here.
You had multiple Boba Fetts?
I had multiple Boba Fetts. My Star Wars collection was killer in the day. So, true story. I love telling this story too because it's so painful. I had Hammerhead. Do you remember Hammerhead from the?
I remember Hammerhead.
Okay,
yeah.
I had that. It was one that you could only get through mail order. I had a Hammerhead action figure, still in the Hasbro wrap. Okay, had it out here. Had it in a bin. My son finds it, tears it open, pulls it out, and starts playing with it. I'm like, hey, thanks for costing me $800. I really
But at least after he opened it, you could drink it, right?
And then he puts it back in the wrapper. And I'm like, no. Just, you may as well just go poop on it. Who cares? But there's something to the collection of your collection that, and I guess that's maybe the difference is I look at the wines that I have, and I have a handful of wines in there that are to be kept and to lay down. And there's a story behind how I got them all or how I found them all or this, that, or the other thing, right? And so there's something that if you have a wine collection, there's something to that story. If you have a stamp collection, there's something to how you got that stamp that's in your collection that you're saying that's part of my collection. And if you're just writing a check to somebody to go do it for you, it kind of seems like you're half-assing it a little bit. Now, I wish I could have
the story of my stamp collection is. My grandma gave me a stamp collection. I went, oh, thanks.
But yeah, if you got if you can make it rain.
No, I feel you there. Like every bottle of wine in my wine fridge that's laid down that I'm keeping, probably most of them for longer than I should, Obviously, I know those wines well. There's a reason why I paid enough for them for me to yell at anybody who thinks about opening it, Like I totally get that. And I guess my thing is, that's not, well, shit. I'm going to say that's not your average wine consumer, but then again, your average wine consumer isn't paying tens of thousands of dollars to stoke their collection. But then again, I think about like, you know, all the premium, and I'm going to put quotes around it, the premium wines that you find on your typical restaurant list. There's a reason why most every restaurant carries Silver Oak, and why almost every restaurant carries what were you saying?
Dom Perignon.
Dom Perignon, and I don't know why I'm blanking on the Mondavi, the Mondavi Rothschild collaboration, Opus One. There's a reason why they carry that, and it's because people remember those names. And while they're excellent wines, they're really good. I don't think that at the same time you've got these like, you know, big time wine collectors like bragging about their Silver Oak that's backed up. That's something that you're buying at a restaurant to impress somebody else because they're probably going to recognize the name.
Yeah.
But one thing it just sparked a thought in me. And ordering that at a restaurant is a way different deal. That, hey, I know this wine is good. That's a way different deal than having people over to your house and you trot on over to your down to your cellar or wherever you get it. You bring it up and you open it and people taste it and they go, "Oh, this is amazing. How did you find out about this?" Oh, I don't know. I got it from Sotheby's.
Dirk brought it over.
Yeah, Dirk. Yeah, exactly. Dax delivered it via UPS, from Advanced Sipping Solutions. A person could lose a little cachet if they have no idea where that wine came from and don't know the story about it.
Yeah, they won't care.
On the other hand, they have enough money that they could pay for it and they won't care. I would, but maybe they won't.
If you're listening to the show and you're like, shit, I need to get over to Sotheby's and order this up, you need to become a fucking patron of our show.
Yeah. What the hell, man?
All right. So if I just took the show from clean to explicit, it must be
last call.
Time
for John to stop getting text messages.
It must be John. That's
yeah, it is. It's about the kids coming for Christmas. Also,
fuck the kids. Great song from NoFX. Fuck the kids.
So, you know what we do here, folks. It's that time for us to start begging for you to do stuff for us. John, before you get your next text message, if they want to hear from us, how can they do it?
If they want to hear from us, get on the socials and, go to We Like Drinking the Tavern, go to We Like Drinking One. That's
what social
media?
That? On what?
On the social. Yeah, social media. Well, the Tavern's on Facebook. We Like Drinking One. That's like the Instagram. No, that's Twitter. That's Twitter. But you know what? You get on there and you send us stuff. We'll answer. Yeah, we will.
And so Jesus Christ, John.
No, go to your favorite social media platform, search for We Like Drinking, look for the patented Red Bird wine swoop, and you'll know it's us.
There you go. Yeah, well, my string of 3 good weeks is over. What can I say?
Edit it quick. And listeners, if you like what we do, and even if you don't like what we do, if you have some opinions on it, please share it with us on Apple Podcast. Log into that hunk of junk of an application, find the We Like Drinking show, leave us a big fat 5-star review, and if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about what you think about the show. If they've done all that, Jeff Solomon, and they're like, I'm itching to do more, and I want to go spend $25,000 on a wine collection, but I've got this other spare change. What should they do?
Yeah, for the low price of $100 a month, you could donate. No, as little as $1 a month, you can help keep this podcast going. How the hell else are we going to buy these hazy IPAs? How the hell else are we going to? What the fuck do we do here? What I'm saying
we just ramble on talking about smoking
No,
testicles. It's all good.
no, it's the donations from our patrons that help keep this show going. That help get us better equipment, that help get us to wine blogger conferences. And so those things like that really do help out. Feel free to swing on by and support us at welikedrinking.com/pledge. When you get there, you're going to see a whole list of all these really awesome bonuses that you can get for helping our show sound better to you. So come do it.
Please, sir. All right. So that's a lot that we just asked you to do, and somehow movie quotes or other things will help drive the point home. So it's time for Wait, who subscribed? Where I take a quote from someone fictional, non-fictional, and these guys try to guess what it's from. All right. Can you name this in 3 words? Because that's all the quote is tonight. 3 words.
I can name it in 1.
Good, because they're all the same word. All right, so here we go tonight. All right.
I got it. I got it.
Such a great movie, John Ruyak. I'm gonna see if you can go deeper.
I've got no clue.
No, dude.
Wow.
This should be your movie.
It totally should be.
This is like your movie, Jeff Solomon. What is this movie?
You know, John Ruyak reminds me of
bonus points if you can take the easy route and name the actor as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say John Ruyak reminds me of like a very old Matthew McConaughey. All right. Hey, we're heading up to the light tower later, man.
You know what the best part about high school is?
What's that? You learn for free?
No. According to this character, the best part of high school is that I keep getting older, but the girls stay the same age.
Do you know it yet, John?
No, I don't.
Oh my God. Dazed and Confused is such an
really?
amazing movie.
And when he's in Dazed and Confused, I've seen it twice.
Yeah,
I must have been Dazed and Confused when I watched it.
That came out when I was a freshman in high school, and I didn't get it. But then I realized a couple years later, I didn't get it because I wasn't cool enough.
God, you should go. Yeah, Matthew McConaughey is the dude that's like several years out of high school, but still hanging with all the high school.
All right. Yeah, it's been a while. Okay.
All right. It was a hazy type of your life. So understood. Moving on, you can also find the show notes for this episode with all the links to the stories or mentions we had at welikedrinking.com/podcast. All right. And we're about an hour and 10 minutes in. So it must.
I thought, yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought we were about.
Huh?
Yeah. Huh?
Let's go.
We clean house and lock the doors.
John is hazied and confused right now. But about time for where I get to say, okay, panel, let's take one last trip around this table and get some final thoughts before we shut off the lights. John Ruyak.
Drink some hazy IPAs. Drink them. And then go back to regular beer. Good beer.
Okay. Jeff Solomon.
Drink them for him because he's out. Hazy. Hazy for drinking IPAs. Hazy for brewskis. Putting milk in them. Hazy for drinking brews.
You forgot to tell me when to stop and start the music. Now what am
I? Okay. Stop the music.
All right. There's a question of the show that you can tweet to us, Instagram us, Facebook us, FaceTime us, or email us at podcast@welikedrinking.com. Are you a fan of the Haze? Let us know. And with that, I'll say thanks again for joining us at the We Like Drinking podcast.
We'll never drink alone. And maybe it's time to finally throw out this mead bottle.
Oh, good.